G'day guys, Josh Huggett here from Joshua Huggett Media, and welcome to Tog Talk, a show where we talk about stuff. And today we're actually talking about content creators and just content creators in the wedding industry in general. It's really irked me that it's fucking the 4th of July. I've had this in the works since last week to film this episode. And the vendor table literally just released an episode all about content creators. Kind of gives me some stuff to talk about, but also just like really bad timing. But that's okay. Also, just a warning. So for those of you that don't know much about me and my history, and I don't talk about it very often. I don't actually know if I've really kind of said it on the internet at all, but I have Tourette syndrome, which is great, fun little thing about me. Gives me I've muscular Tourette, so I often have tics with my hands and stuff. I've just realised recently that I've actually got a tic for when I'm filming a podcast episode. As soon as I start recording a single podcast episode, or as an episode with just me, I have a tic in the back of my throat that makes me yawn all the time. Even though like I don't need to yawn. I'm not like stupidly tired or anything. It'll make me yawn all the time. So if you hear like weird cuts and stuff, or if you hear me like starting to yawn, like I'm about to do it now, but if you can hear like the start of a yawn, that's actually just me having a tic, which is something that I just figured out, which is fucking great. I always just thought that I was talking so much, and I've mentioned it in past episodes where I thought I was talking so much that I wasn't breathing, when in fact it was actually just a Tourette's tic, which is fucking great because I can't control that. I thought I could just control my breathing. I mentioned it to my wife. I was like, yeah, I think I've got a tic where like it makes me yawn. And she's like, you do. Absolutely you do. You do it every time anytime you're about to enter a serious conversation, Tourette's yawn. I'm like, fucking hell, everybody knows except for me. Anyway, if you hear me yawning, that's why. It's got less to do. I'm trying so hard not to do it at the moment, but there it is. Anyway, if there's yawning cuts, that's why. It's great. At least I know what's happening now. That's the worst part. It's like, is so much stuff sort of happens, and like, and if you watch me for long enough, like if you hang out with me enough, I've gotten pretty good at masking all of my tics. Like I learnt when I was a kid, I went to the doctor. My mum used to take me to a special doctor when I was a kid to try to control it or whatever the fuck. I can't remember. I was only a kid, and it kind of taught me how to like move it into body parts that I can't see, that you can't see. Like I used to have like some really weird tics with like my neck. Like I used to have like big ones where I moved my neck around heaps. And I still get them, but now I can just like tense the muscles in my neck. This wasn't an episode on my Tourette's. This was an episode on content creators. But that's the warning. If you listen to this and you're like, why is he always fucking yawning? Apparently it's Tourette's. So anyway, we're going to talk about content creators and content creators at weddings, and how I genuinely believe that content creators are going to completely change the videography space. They're going to get rid of most mid-card videographers very, very quickly. I think at least 4 to 5 years from now, the videography space is going to be very, very different because of content creators. I feel like the more that they're bringing out, and this is probably going to be a 2-part series as well, because I do want to film one of these. I'll get through my speech, so this will probably be a smaller episode, but I want to get out my thoughts, get it out into the ethos, and then bring on like maybe some videographers and some content creators, and we just kind of have a discussion with everybody together. I think that'd be good, where we can actually bring everybody together, talk about the goods and the bads. That's what we're going to talk about today, is like the good, the bad, and the ugly bits of content creation at weddings. Seems to be a fun little way to kind of like space out an episode, but I am of the belief that in the next 5 years, content creators are going to completely remove, not completely, maybe 90% remove hybrid films from wedding days. So, or just like highlight films in general. Because now we're finding more and more content creators coming to wedding days. And this really fucking irks me. But I'm also on par with content creators. Before we get too deep into it, I'll give you my unfiltered opinion on content creators. Absolutely. I don't think that content creators have found their spot in the industry yet. I don't think content creators are kind of like in their final form just yet. We're still in this sort of like uncharted territories where it's still so new. Like it's a new thing. It's maybe 2 years old, content creators at weddings. People used to bring, maybe someone to take some photos of them, but bringing your own content creator or couples hiring a content creator is essentially unheard of up until about 2 years ago, I'd say. Maybe more in America, maybe in some other countries, but at least here in Australia anyway, it's unheard of. So we don't really know where this is going to end. We don't know what the finished product's going to be. Currently, and what I think it should be at the moment anyway, at least, is just iPhone content. You're coming out, iPhone, Samsung, whatever you want to do. Just taking those behind-the-scenes footage, behind-the-scenes clips that like would otherwise go unmissed, or you're able to capture those more candid moments that wouldn't make it into a professional highlight film or a professional video, If somebody's doing a really stupid dance on the dance floor, that's a great thing for a content creator to capture. Probably not as interesting or not going to make it into a wedding video, or at least for very long. You could film a 37-second clip of somebody dancing like a dickhead, and that would be great content for a content creator, but it's probably not going to make it in its entirety into highlight film. This is where videographers can combat the kind of like content creator space and offer up the raw video footage as well. So like, or making a dance edit or a bloopers reel maybe adding in a bloopers reel where you just add a whole bunch of funny clips. But that's where I see content creators are a great way to like get so much more out of your wedding day than just the professional stuff, because so much stuff happens that isn't really that professional. Like it doesn't need to be in a highlight film. Like wedding films are made to invoke emotion, bring back that wedding day, bring back those emotions, tell the story of the day like a little mini documentary. And photos, we have a bit more liberty in photos that we can kind of take crazier photos. If somebody falls on the floor, we can take a photo, but it's not going to age as well as like a video of the exact same thing, especially in the format that we're all used to watching videos now. So they have their space in the industry, but it's just not figured out yet. We don't know kind of what they're going to morph into. And this is where I'm starting to have issues with content creators. And look, I arguably haven't shot with many content creators. I, up to now, haven't really had all that much to do with content creators. And the ones that I have had stuff to do with have actually been pretty good. Like they've been pretty okay to work with, never in the way. Was a bit annoying at a couple where like we're in sunset photos and we're already running late for sunset photos because timelines and stuff, and they're trying to sneak people away to finish a reel, like a fucking TikTok of like the flowers going down and coming back. That's annoying in that can be filmed at any time of the day. Like it doesn't need to be filmed at the peak of golden hour. But that's like a really fucking minor thing. So yeah, I've had a pretty good experience with content creators. The ones that I have worked with, they haven't been too bad. I've seen some horror stories online, and I'm seeing in packages now as well, like people are sending it to me, where this line is sort of being blurred between content creator and a videographer on an iPhone. Two very different things, but also in that, and this is where it irks me a bit, is when they're like taking photos behind the scenes or trying to take they're taking photos with the phone and then editing them and marketing like photography packages. That with the phone, that's so weird in that I didn't think that was ever something. Like I never foresaw people coming into the industry, like content creators coming into the industry and trying to be photographers with a phone. That's wild. And this is where like we've had this discussion before, and I'm sure I'll have it again somewhere else, but it doesn't really like matter. If somebody's hiring a $1,500 content creator to take photos on their phone, it's not really going to threaten me, because if they're spending $1,500 on a photographer, then they're probably not going to be hiring me. Where it's really going to pinch people, and this is where we're going to see, I reckon, 5-ish years, we're going to sort of see this divide in that these lower card photographers, these lower to mid card photographers are either going to have to get fucking heaps better or become content creators. There's not going to be this new sort of cheap bracket, like this post-COVID cheap bracket that's still sitting here. But we're seeing in packages now, people like offering highlight films from content creators. So like there's some people that are offering like a 5 to 6 minute highlight film, and they'll film everything on their phone, and then they'll add a LUT, and then they make like a 5 to 6 minute highlight film, which is essentially what the videographer's doing. There's even some people, and one of them is very possibly coming on here, that are offering ceremony and speeches recordings and miking up grooms. At what point have we gone from like iPhone footage where someone's coming and just standing behind you and taking videos on a phone and like being a content creator and like just creating behind the scenes content, to like putting phones on tripods and miking people? That's fucking wild. And again, this is only its infancy. This is only the beginning of what's happening. This is like people being scared about AI. It's only in its infancy. It's going to take over the world. This is what content creators are doing. And this is where content creators are going to ruin the videography industry, is that they're going to take out this small section, this small little highlight film section. And the scary thing is that's where I live. I live in that small highlight film. So what people are going to actually have to do is elevate the fuck out of their videography. I reckon the days of small highlight films, like 5-6 minute highlight films, where you just put a bunch of clips together and then you put the vowels over the top and some songs, I think they're done. I think they are not done. There's always going to be a small market for it. But I think we'll find more people, instead of spending $2,000 on a videographer, $2,500 on a videographer, maybe even $3,000 on a videographer, maybe it goes that high. Maybe instead of spending $3,000 on a videographer, people are now going to spend $1,500 on a content creator that also offers a 4 to 5 minute highlight film, all taken on the phone, but they also get all of the other stuff. They're also getting all of the other content from the day. So they'll get all those clips. They'll get everything that they want and like everything that they like wanted from a content creator, but they're also getting like a 5 minute highlight film, which is all anybody really wants anyway. So this mid-card videographer is going to disappear. They're going to go. They're not going to exist anymore. And that's terrifying, because that's where I am. That's what we make. We make very, very simple highlight films. We make a little 5, 6, 8, 10 minute highlight film that essentially tells the story of the day. I've always been a hybrid shooter, so I'll do both photo and video at the same time. So we've also always been able to offer like both a photo and a video package where we do everything at once. But I feel like that's out of here. I feel like that's going to kind of leave. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. Like where do these mid-card videographers go? So the options are, you either elevate your game and you go from, and this is where we're going to see a very big divide between the difference between a wedding videographer and a wedding filmmaker. We're already seeing it. It's already starting. We're seeing all these new like Wes Anderson film-inspired films, Wes Anderson-inspired videos that people are making are tracking, and people are like paying big money for this stuff and like sending people across the country just so that they can shoot a video in this style. So you're either going to have to elevate your videography to this level where you're able to create actual wedding films and you are a wedding filmmaker, or you're going to have to become a content creator. I feel like that's essentially where we're going. People are always going to be able to talk up like, oh, you know, the quality is unmatched of cameras, and you know, you'll never be able to replicate the quality of a proper wedding video from a videographer. But like, they're getting pretty fucking close. Cinematic mode on an iPhone with a LUT, to the untrained eye and somebody in like a $2,000 to $3,000 budget, is going to look really, really appealing, especially when they're getting all of that content creation stuff as well. And this is where the industry's going, isn't it? This is scary. It's not scary, actually. It's just fucking evolving, isn't it? Really. It's evolved before. The industry's ever evolving. That's the great thing about wedding photography, is that it's never the same, like 2 weeks in a row. So the industry is shifting. We're seeing a shift. It's very exciting, I think I would say, because we're about like, since video was sort of introduced properly, maybe the change from the mirrorless camera change has been pretty wild, but when was the last time we've seen a change this big where almost an entire subculture of an industry is going to be wiped out by a new industry? That's pretty wild. I arguably haven't been in the industry long enough to tell you, because I'm only at like 8 years of weddings, so I'm still small fish, small fry, fucking new, whatever the words is. But yeah, I can't think of any time that the industry has changed this rapidly as well. So like, there's always been like the change from film to digital, the change from digital to mirrorless. The COVID boom was wild. I shot through the COVID boom. But yeah, now this new videographer removal is going to be it's going to be an interesting one to watch. I'd be very interested to hear what you think and where you think this content creation videographer thing is going to go, because it's still so uncharted. The territories are still so uncharted. I will talk about some of the pros, and we'll talk about cons, and we'll talk about all that sort of stuff as well. But this is kind of what I wanted to get across in general, is that videographers are really going to have to step up their game, especially in the next couple of years, to kind of like solidify their spot, build a brand, build whatever they need to do before they fucking get kicked out. Because they will. We're going to see a whole bunch of videographers go out of business. We're going to see a whole bunch of people like posting in the Facebook groups and all this sort of stuff about like not knowing what to do or where to go next, or, you know, they don't have any bookings or any of this sort of stuff. We're going to see a large influx of this, and all these people are now looking at hiring content creators because fucking times are tough, all this sort of stuff. So yeah, pre-warning, videographers, content creators are coming for your job. They're absolutely going to change the industry in the next 4 to 5 years, especially now that they're offering highlight films, ceremony, speeches, fucking everything. Wedding videography has changed forever because of the introduction of content creators. Probably for the best, I'd say. Because now the game, like now people have to try so much harder. There's no like, you know, you could be pretty relaxed in making a wedding video. You could just film your clips, stick it all together. But now you really need to focus on storytelling, focus on brand building, focus on your marketing to actually bring that to the next level so that you're not left behind, because you will be. Absolutely, videographers are going to get left behind. Hopefully it's not me. Maybe this is when we drop videography. And this is where it's become so hard for people like me that run a studio, is that I also saw a comment on Facebook just before, absolutely got nothing to do with it. Someone's like, oh, he's lost me as a follower. I just found out he doesn't edit any of his photos. That's not new news. That's not new information. And even my couples know this too. Anybody that books me knows that we have an editing team here. We've always had an editing team. Anyway, I found that a very funny comment. But yeah, maybe this is where we end up dropping videography. But this is, again, this is what I started saying, is that it got hard because currently content creation is so cheap. You're looking at like $1,500 and somebody like, and that's top of the top tier is like $1,500. Whereas there are people that are charging like $600 for the day, $700 for the day. It costs me more in staff to send somebody to a wedding than these content creators are charging to run and like film stuff on their phone. But also if you're looking at getting into the industry, it's a fucking not a bad place to start. You can buy a brand new iPhone 16 for like, what, $1,800 if you got one of the top ones, like one of the best ones possible. You'd be filming in the best quality content that's currently out there for a phone anyway. And you'd pay it off after 3 weddings. Easy paid it off after 3 weddings, and then you're working for free. Not bad. Anyway, let's talk about some of the pros of content creation, because I think it's a fucking great little thing. There are the negatives that come with content creators and content creation in general at wedding days, but there are lots of pros. It's actually a good thing. It's a good thing to have. It's a good thing that's going to happen. It's cool that there's this whole new industry that's like being built. Not industry, whole new subculture, whole new job field, whole new something. There's a whole new fucking something because of the content creation era. But it's one of the major pros is that it's actually accessible to everybody. Not everybody. Content creation is accessible to most people. Most people will be able to afford a content creator for their wedding day. If they're having a reasonable sized wedding, most people would be able to afford a content creator. Where the issue is, there's like, if you're doing it as like an add-on, that's when it becomes a bit harder. But those people in the lower wedding bracket, you know, you're having your sub 15K weddings, or you're having a sub 10K wedding or whatever, spending the $1,000 on a content creator, especially a good one, like a good content creator for $1,000, you can get a fucking subpar content creator for like $600 in some of these Facebook groups. But they're going to be able to take, I don't know if I could call them good photos. They're going to be able to take photos. You would have a dedicated photo person. I'm still yet to see some wild, like, wedding photos on a phone. I'm sure you can take them. I've seen like lots of heavily edited wedding photos taken on a phone, whereas I think that's like the good thing about pro cameras and pro photographers is that we shouldn't have to edit our photos that much for them to look good. They should just kind of tell the story, and it should just be a good photo straight out of camera, whereas the phone photos need far more editing. But it is far more accessible content creation. So you could find a content creator that maybe offers a photo package and is also able to just do content creation video, meaning people that otherwise would completely miss out on having their wedding captured, or maybe they just have, you know, somebody. And this is where it's like, it's easier too. It's fucking easy being a content creator. You're just filming stuff on your phone. And this is where it could and probably will edge out these lower income, or these lower lower charging photographers, is that wedding photography is quite difficult, especially when you're starting. The longer you've been in it, the easier it gets. But there's far more risk of somebody fucking it up on a pro camera. Like, if you get your settings wrong on a pro camera, photo's fucked. If you're taking photos on an iPhone, even if you take it in portrait mode on your phone, you take a photo in portrait mode on your phone, you can then change the aperture after the fact. So you could send somebody all like now I don't think they're called raw photos on an iPhone, but you can send somebody all of the, like, I'll say raw photos because it's just all I fucking know, but you could send someone the raws, and then they can go and change the aperture in their own photos and re-edit them themselves. Whereas that would never happen in normal photography. If somebody fucks up, if somebody using a lower grade camera, if somebody's only shooting, if they're shooting on like a kit lens, like you could hire a photographer for $1,000 and they're shooting on like an entry-level camera with a kit lens, you can't change the aperture lower than the f4 or whatever you're shooting at. So there's less risk involved. That's wild. I've written down like a couple of dot points. I sat down before. I jotted down a couple of dot points. I didn't want to think about it too much. I wanted to kind of let my brain go and do what my brain does and just kind of like talk, which is normally what gets me in the most amount of trouble. But yeah, and this is all coming to my head at the one time. It's actually somebody on a phone using portrait mode on their phone, like swiping across, just fucking clicking into portrait, is going to make it so much easier. Like right now, that photo of my laptop screen is not bad at all. So again, we're going to see another divide, maybe even in photography, if people start maybe offering photo packages as well. Because currently content creation is marketed at videos, and it's all videos. Behind the scenes video, vertical video, iPhone video. But we could see a surgence of content creators coming with two phones and taking photos on a phone as well. Taking photos, portrait mode, getting bokeh, don't like it, remove the bokeh after the fact, just in the iPhone app. Slapping some filters over the top because you've got Lightroom mobile now, so you can make edits, you can do all that sort of stuff. Interesting, Josh. Interesting. Another pro that I have here, so I have accessible, but the next one kind of follows directly into that, is that it's a cheaper option. It's cheaper than videography. So the more educated they get in the industry, the more that they're sort of learning these like highlight films, what they can sort of get away with on their phone, the more accessible and the cheaper things are to other people. Fuck, that's not a very good way of explaining it, Josh. But the more that people are learning how they can make a highlight film on their phone in Movie Maker, or downloading fucking any CapCut. You can even make a wedding video in fucking CapCut on your phone these days. And it would have automated transitions and then just slapping it all together and sending that off. Especially now that like audio has become so accessible as well, in that you can just go out and buy like the Rode Minis, mic up the groom, because there's so much content online, mic up the groom, buy some Rode Minis, you've got yourself a highlight film. Yeah, it is a cheaper option. Will it ever compare to an actual videographer? Time will tell. I don't think it's ever going to compare to a filmmaker. Very, very different things. Wedding videographer, somebody that has bought a Sony mirrorless camera, Canon mirrorless camera. I don't think I've ever seen a videographer on a Nikon camera. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are some. Some people are shooting on Fuji as well, like some of the Fujis, and they've already got the baked-in presets. But a videographer would be somebody that's bought like a Canon, mainly a Sony, and they're getting audio. They're making highlight films, 5, 6, 8-minute highlight films. Some are offering ceremony and speeches, but they're pretty basic. It's little clips of your day pushed together to make a highlight film. That's what we offer. Love them. I have a highlight film myself. Love it. Where the difference is going to be is in Filmmakers, they're making like proper wedding films. You watch it and you're like, you can tell the difference between a videographer and a filmmaker. You watch a filmmaker, you're like, yeah, this is fucking sick. Buck Media, he's one of them. Flat Rock, again, I talk about these two all the fucking time, but they're amazing. They're creating films. I would call Zach from Flat Rock Films is like this weird in between where he's like offering highlight films, but there's so much story in them. So he's like kind of borderline like both. That's kind of like that happy medium. Whereas bringing like a content creator, they're going to get all of that stuff and more. That's nuts. Cost of living is great for content creators because now everything's like harder. Everything's harder. Everything's more expensive. Getting something nice and easy. Those three are very, very similar. But because of the cost of living, something like a content creator is more accessible and easier for people to digest than spending $4,500-5,000 on a videographer. And they offer an unfiltered view of the wedding day. Hard to believe, because I just spent the last fucking 15 minutes talking about how they are filtering the view, but they're able to give you that like completely uncut, uncensored, behind the scenes take of your wedding day. Mentioned it right at the start. Those clips that otherwise wouldn't make it into a highlight film, they wouldn't make it into a wedding film, they're able to be taken by a content creator and cherished for literally ever. And also content creators kind of like, they can help other vendors, but we did just have a very heated discussion about this the other day, where people shouldn't be having to give out their content for free, but also content creators could then go and market themselves to other vendors. Like, yeah, I shot this wedding. It was great. I loved hanging out with you. I got a whole bunch of content if you'd love to buy it. And then they can sell their content somewhere else. So the couple gets all their stuff. Vendors are happy. One content creator, everything. The cons of the cons of content creators are that it does add more people to the day. I don't like, now this is just me, everything I say here is just me, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, because everything I fucking make annoys somebody. But I feel like the less people you have on your wedding day, the better. That's why we don't ever really work with second shooters, because I don't want too many people in the room, especially for my types of couples. Now, fucking high-end, luxury, whatever those high-end people do. That's not me. This probably isn't a podcast for them, but they get off on having 17 people there. That's how they're making these films. And this is where filmmakers, they've got, you look at fucking Justin Porter from Justin Porter Media. He's got like 9 people there, and they've all got headsets on, and they're all running around, and it's a production. Half of what you're getting paid, half of what you're paying for is the production, is the show of having all of these people. And there would be a whole industry of people that like want that. Like there's those weddings that are made to kind of showcase how much money you've spent. Like you hit a certain bracket, and you're only, it turns into more of like a showcase than it does anything else. I've never shot any of them. I've just seen them online. But you look at them, you're like, people that have fireworks when they have their first kiss. And, that video, we've all fucking seen that video online of like, was it when they did their first kiss and there was those huge rainbow clouds in the background? Like whoosh, when the fucking plane went over the top. And that's like showcase level wedding, and that's where having multiple vendors there elevates sort of what you're trying to create. So that's when you probably need to bring 2, 3, 4 photographers, 4 videographers, have a full team there, and you're like, fuck, look at how many people they've hired. Oh my God, this is amazing. For the weddings that I shoot, and the smaller, more intimate, fun, laid back, calm weddings, I feel like the less people that are there, the better. Less stress on the couple. Having your wedding photos taken is a stressful moment just in general. So the less people you have there is probably the better. It's why we send the bridal party away and that sort of stuff. So when you're adding photographer, maybe you add a second shooter, then you got a videographer, then you got a content creator coming. That's already 4 people. That's quite a few people that are all around you while you're in your most intimate of moments, like getting ready for your wedding day or having your bridal party session, like you've just gotten married and now you're being told to kiss in front of all these people while they all fucking hold cameras up to your face. That's where adding these extra people does become a bit of a stress. But some people will be okay with that. That's fine. That's whatever. What we're finding a lot, and we're reading about it a lot in these like Facebook groups and listening to podcasts, and Lauren and Michael just talked about it on their episode as well, but the content creators coming into the industry are far less experienced in the industry as a whole. So things that are sort of taboo to most wedding vendors, like things that we know that we probably shouldn't be doing. Content creators haven't really figured out yet. And that's just, maybe it's education, maybe nobody's ever been taught. A lot of what's happening is like people have, and a lot of wedding content creators from what I've seen, a lot of wedding content creators are people that have gone and like had their wedding, absolutely loved it, found a hole in the market of like, wow, I wish I had more of this content, and then gone and started taking that content with their phone, and now they have a business. So there isn't a lot of like industry education around becoming a content creator. Whereas if you were a photographer and you're like, I really want to become a photographer, and you start researching how to become a wedding photographer, there's fucking hundreds of hours of education online teaching you what you should and shouldn't be doing at wedding days. None of that currently exists for content creators. So I'm sure somebody will do it one day. Lexi, it's Lexi, maybe Leslie. It's not Leslie, now that I say it out loud. Lexi, from the wedding creators down here in Adelaide. She does a lot of content creator education stuff. So maybe she's the one that brings out like this standardized sort of education for content creators so that they're not fucking everything up for everybody. But because the new content creators are far less experienced in the industry, this is where we're having issues, and you know, they're kind of getting in the way of photos, and photographers and videographers that work together a lot, and photographers and videographers that have worked a lot know that like during those really important moments, like a first dance and stuff, we all kind of stand together. We all stand together at the one spot so that we don't get any of us in our own photos and videos. Like we try to avoid having photographers and videographers in the photos. But then what you're seeing is like content creators running around to the other side. So then they're in all of the photos, but it's just them holding up a phone, which always looks a bit shit. Yeah. And just kind of like, just experience in the industry in general is a bit harder to come by if you're a content creator. Unless you were a photographer or something beforehand, but they are coming into the industry without proper education, and someone just needs to bring it out. And again, it all circles back to what we said right at the start, in that like this is a new industry. This is uncharted territories. So it's just going to have to kind of learn. But where it is getting a little bit out of control, and Lauren and Michael talked about it. So if you haven't already listened to their episode, finish this episode, please, for the algorithm and shit. But then go and listen to their episode where they talked about it. In that, like, this is in the ugly spot, but like people are hiring multiple content creators. That's a little bit icky, isn't it? Multiple content creators at the one wedding, like, and we see it here. There's some companies in Australia that like send out content creators to get content of their business, and that's fine. That's great. Everybody needs content. 2025. Everybody needs to be able to get their content, do their job, do their marketing. But at what point is it like encroaching on other people's jobs? Like when you're doing your couple session and you're working and you're getting sunset photos, and then you look to your left and there's just like a content creator for another business there, that the photo section of the couple doesn't really have heaps to do with their job, but they're still kind of there. That's a bit weird. But also, like, everybody needs to, like, it's so fucked. Like, and this is where we're going to have to find something. Because, like, does a DJ need video footage of the bride and the groom from a content creator? My initial response, my knee-jerk reaction is no, you're a DJ, you need content of you DJing. However, you're a wedding DJ. So you need to show that you're working with, like, real couples. And this is where I believe I disagree with Michael and Lauren, in that they said that the content creator should only be getting content of the person that they've been hired to get content of. Fair. Absolutely fair. But a wedding DJ, yeah, but fucking hell. Oh, there's no answer. Like, a wedding DJ needs bride and groom content, but he can get bride and groom content of them on the dance floor, and that's his fucking job. but also having a clip of them outside would be nice for fuck, there's no actual answer to this, is there? And this is where, like, they're seeing it in America. I haven't seen it here yet in Australia. Maybe I'm under a rock. Maybe it is happening. But there are like 2, 3, 4 content creators at one wedding. And that's fucking wild. That's absolutely unheard of. I find it weird. I mean, I kind of like it, but I find it weird that, like, when venues have their own marketing director there with a camera taking photos of everything that's been set up. But also, like, go you for getting your own content. That's fucking amazing. Love that. But it's just always like, it's still a little bit weird for me to see. I couldn't imagine. They were talking about weddings where, like, there's a fucking florist with a content creator. There's a hair and makeup artist with a content creator. The DJ's got a content creator. And they've fucking hired their own content creator as well. And that's insane. That's absolutely sickening. And that's when it's like, and they said it very, very perfectly in that it's not a styled shoot. It's not a marketing day. Like, it's still, at the end of the day, it's still somebody's wedding day that people are fucking by hiring all these content creators. But everybody needs content. Blah, 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 blah. And this is where it's kind of like, the lines are being blurred in that people are bringing content creators, quote unquote, they're bringing content creators for their own business. So their business can get marketing materials. And that's being blurred with couples hiring a content creator for their wedding. That's where it's becoming icky. Everybody's hiring these content creators because they're new and they're cheap and nobody really knows what to do with them. And that's where these lines are sort of murking and it's becoming a little bit harder to kind of distinguish what's right and what's wrong. What I think should be happening and what I think would be a good solution that I've just come up with then. Maybe I came up with it. Maybe I heard it on the podcast. If this is on the vendor table, maybe I heard it from them. If I didn't, maybe I was thinking it when I was listening to it. The content creator. The bride and the groom hire a content creator. $1,500, whatever it is. What that content creator should then be doing is saying, hey, I'm already coming to the wedding. I'm going to be there. I'm the content creator. I'm there all day. They've hired me for 10 hours, blah, 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 blah. Would you like me to get content for you? I can do it for X amount. I'm already going to be there. Forget the call out fee. Normally it's $1,500 for a content creator for the day. More than happy to get some extra footage of you. $500, $400. And this is where I think America will have an issue with this because they all get fucking all legal and lawry about it. But maybe that's the answer, is that there's one content creator, but then they can be subcontracted to the other people. You know, like, yeah, if I was going to a wedding and they told me they had a content creator and that content creator reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm going to be there on the day. I'll give you for $300, I'll get a whole bunch of content for you too and send it all to you. Absolutely. That's a fucking great deal. I get a whole bunch of marketing materials, costs me less than a second shooter, costs me less than hiring my own content creator, and there are going to be less people there on the day. And in that, the bride and the groom then get more material because they're more incentivized to film more stuff. So the bride and the groom win. I win, the photographer. The content creator wins because they've earned more money. Maybe this is the answer. Maybe I've just solved the content creation debacle. In regards to numbers anyway, because they're still going to fucking ruin videography forever. But yeah, and also another con, I'm back on cons again after solving the crisis that is content creation, but phones in photos and videos. It's just like we spend so long telling people to put their phones away and like shooting around people with their phones, and then having a bunch of content creators there with their phones out kind of defeats the whole fucking purpose because they're still just going to be there. Small thing, pretty annoying. But so long as we're all still working as a team, it's a good thing. We're all part of the same team. If we're taking photos and videos from here, you take your photos and videos from here with us. If we're moving up together, like if we're doing walking back down the aisle, we all walk back down the aisle together. If there are tripods set up, and this is just like a general rule about weddings, is that like if you see a tripod, don't fucking stand in front of it. If you like ever, it doesn't help anybody. It fucks the videographer, which then fucks the couple. If the couple's unhappy, they're going to be unhappy with everybody. And then yeah, the ugly things about content creators, and I talked about this right at the start, is the stealing jobs. And I've put a question here because I don't think content creators are really stealing people's jobs. I think really what they're doing is making people that are already in the industry have to work harder. They're having to now actually really market themselves. So whereas before, if you wanted video, you hired a videographer. So as before, if you needed video footage, you would hire a videographer. That's just what happens. You want a video footage, you hire a videographer. Whereas now, if you want video footage, you don't have to hire the $2,000 wedding videographer if you don't want to. You can hire a $1,000 content creator and get content and get videos that you could actually watch over and over again and get that raw, unfiltered position, get that raw. I think where this issue and where it's kind of like getting really ugly is content creators pretending to be videographers or content creators turning up to wedding days with like pro cameras. That's a bit fucked, isn't it? Why are content creators coming to wedding days with an actual camera? But you're not a content creator, you're a photographer. It doesn't make sense. That's not the job. The job is to take photos on your phone. Why are you taking them with a camera? And again, blurry lines. New industry, blurry lines. Maybe there's a day where photography and content creation kind of blur together. Or it's more videography, isn't it? I keep saying photography, but I don't think content creators are going to steal too many photographers' jobs. I think photographers are pretty safe from content creators. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe one day I am wrong. But I think, at least for now, most photographers are pretty safe from content creators. Videographers need to step up their game because now people don't have to hire you. They don't have to just hire a videographer. There are content creators out there offering 5 to 6 minute highlight films, editing a ceremony and a speeches video. They're bringing microphones. They're recording it. I said this was going to be a short episode. I've already made it to fucking 50 minutes. Anyway, I'd be very interested to hear what you think about content creators. And like, I'm on board. I genuinely think they're actually a good thing for the industry. I think everybody's going to benefit from content creators. I think if content creators can kind of figure out what the fuck they're doing and figure out exactly what they're offering and kind of make like a standardized fucking content creation offering, then they're going to be taken a lot more seriously in the industry rather than I'm a mum, I got married, now I'm a content creator, give me $400 and I'll come and take some photos on my phone. I think they need to kind of move this marketing to actually making it so that people couldn't imagine their wedding without it. Like now, people can't imagine their wedding without a photographer or without a videographer. We need to get that way with content creation in that, it's second nature that somebody's there. Everybody's already filming everything on their phones. Should have somebody there to do it on purpose. Interesting. It's going to be a very interesting couple of years. A very, very interesting, like 4 to 5 years when we kind of figure out exactly what's going to happen with videography. Maybe we stop offering it. Maybe we're going to find content creators bringing drones to weddings to take drone photos. It's not that unheard of. When does a content creator become a videographer? Is the difference between content creation, like what's the difference between a content creator and a shit videographer? Is it gear? Is gear what decides that you're a videographer? But you can be a videographer with a phone. Do you need to have a pro grade camera to be a videographer? Or could you just be shooting it on a phone? Blurry lines, man. Blurry lines. But this is where like originally content creation was just iPhone footage, Dropbox the next day. If you want to do some funny little dances, we will help facilitate those funny little dances. But now it's becoming more because everybody's trying to level up. Everybody's trying to level up what they're offering. You know, like, yeah, we'll help you with your funny little dances and we'll edit you 10 reels. But while we're editing those reels, we'll also make you a highlight film, you know, like a 30-second teaser reel. Is that the videographer's job? Should content creators be making 30-second highlight reels of the day? This is a question for you. Put this in your story, put it fucking anywhere in the world. Should content creators be editing photos and videos? Is that something that should be happening? Or should it still just be raw, unfiltered photo footage? That's what I really want to know. And that's the question I've been asking in my head this whole time is like, where's the line between being a content creator and trying to be a photographer or a videographer? If you want to bring a pro camera and do that sort of stuff, then I'd argue that you're just a photographer. Not just a photographer. We're pretty cool people. But I'd argue that you're a photographer if you're bringing a pro camera. Yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode of Tog Talk where I genuinely thought this was going to be like a 20-minute episode of me talking about content creators, but then I just kind of got into my own little head. And I could sit here for another 25, 30 minutes just waffling about content creators and all of my thoughts because it's so unfucking regulated at the moment. There's nothing. This has been a nice little distraction from what's otherwise been a shit day here. Just a reminder that community over competition isn't fucking real. There are very, very few people in this world that actually believe in community over competition, even though most people will try to sell it to you. I was going to try to not talk about Mike Jeffrey in this episode, but I just fucking love him. Great friend of mine. He's probably one of the biggest advocates for community over competition and probably the most genuinely authentic person about it that I've met. Just fucking loves the photography community and like helping people out. But yeah, we do have his workshop coming up. I believe this episode comes out next week. There may still be some tickets available to the 1-day event. The 3-day event's already sold out, but he has opened up tickets for 1 day. So you could come to that if you want to see me in person, if you want to come and shoot a wedding. Not a wedding, it's a workshop with me, style shoot-y thing, where you get to work on like couple posing. I'm going to talk about subject hunting with couples so that you can build connection and probably do some marketing talk as well. I'm also teaching a little class on hybrid shooting as well. So if you want to be able to take photo and video before it becomes null and void, come and I'll teach you. But otherwise, we have 5 tickets left for Wedding Mania this year in Adelaide in December. I get probably 20 to 30 messages a week of people saying, hey man, I love your work. Hey man, I absolutely love what you do. I'd love to shoot a wedding with you. I'd love to come and learn from you. Do you do mentorships? Do you do one-on-one coaching? Do you do fucking calls? Can you come and mentor me? Can I come and be a trainee? The only teaching that I do currently, apart from like one course that I have online, is in person and at these workshops. This is the only time that I really do teaching. So if you want to come and learn from me, Wedding Mania is the place to do it. 3 days in Adelaide. You get to shoot a real 10-hour wedding day with me. You get to attend 2 days of classes. You get to watch a live podcast recording. You get to watch fucking so much stuff from some of the most talented individuals in Australia. But yeah, come on down. It's going to be fucking sick. Anyway, fuck. Until I see your faces again and until you hear my voice in your little fucking ear holes, just let it be known that I really fucking love you. Peace.